Well, black people are Native Americans. We've had, a lot of proof that, some of us started here in this land. Everybody wasn't brought over from Africa.
What are they doing here? They're Indians.
This is one of my many unsuccessful experiments. You see, with Indians, there's absolutely nothing to be done. There's the same difference between a Negro and an Indian as there is between a dog and a coyote. You can put a dog on a leash, beat him, and he'll always be there to lick your feet. Take away a coyote's liberty, and you've cut off his heir. An Indian will never be a slave. No one has ever been able to make them reproduce in captivity. They do not eat, they do not talk, they do not sleep, they do not make love.
There are several things that are significant about it. Of course, one of them is the way that colonialism tries to develop all kinds of elaborate classification terms for different kinds of people, but that's another subject. The most significant thing here is to reveal the much greater amounts of Native American ancestry that are present within the African American population than most people realize, because they might have been misled by the use of terms like mulatto and also people of color.
After the African, LeVar Burton, had been told that his name was to be Toby, and he refused it, and he was beaten to make him say his name was Toby.
That was the dramatization. How much of that actually was recounted to you? I mean, was there a lot of interweaving?
A lot of it, I thought maybe you were going to ask, and maybe you are in another way, is how much of the book is fact and how much is fiction. Well, a whole lot of it's fiction. Well, a whole lot of it's fiction. Well, a whole lot of it's fiction.
Now, this is just a tiny bit of information now.
But they take it as huge.
Right, because it's cracking open the door.
There's a place in Africa you could say that I'm from.
A tribe?
A tribe? I am thrilled. It puts a name, a place, a location, a people.
Hank really is concerned that the science isn't really there yet for you to be giving them the name of a tribe.
I think for most companies, I would be concerned too.
But what about your own company?
We have
he
the
didn't
largest...
exclude you. He included you.
But we have the largest set of sequences from Africa. And so with that, we're able to provide some level of probability in terms of frequency.
But he would say that even though you have the largest database, it's still small on the scope of things.
As I said, I share those concerns. We don't oversell. I mean, we just say, look, we provide a service. If you're interested in exploring a tiny bit of your DNA and trace its ancestry, we can do that.
When you say it's a tiny little amount,
it's less than 0.1%. Less than 0.1%. Less than 0.1%.
And that's pretty teeny.
Yeah, but for people who know nothing about any of them, I think it's very important.
You do not know a goddamn thing about Africa. I am from Detroit, Motown. So you can want Tootsie your monkey ass back to Africa if you want to.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late. How y'all doing? Hey, Saturn Return. Did you hear about $600 million awarded to Black medical schools, Xavier Medical School being one? I think you mentioned them before in Louisiana. Yeah, my daddy went to Xavier. I didn't know they got $600 million. That's nice. That's what's up. How y'all doing? I hope y'all are doing okay. I'm up here no matter what. I don't feel good. Turns out I got the Rona, but still I rise to give y'all Educational Friday. The C-witted person talking about why darker skin tone people always got to be late. I'm going to just take it as a joke because I ain't got time. So with that being said, we got to get into some things. Now, I thought it was very important that we spoke about the Freedmen's Bureau, the Freedmen's Bank. Also, we'll speak about Reconstruction era and how Kamala has taken the Freedmen's Bank from us under the inclusion of people of color and minorities. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. Okay. I I heard about the boy Marcel KB. I like him. I like most of what he says. He's cool. I like him. He's very level-headed. But the gag is black people ain't gonna vote for him at all. Even though he's a better candidate than both of them, they're not gonna vote for him. Cosmic Sun Soul, thank you for the super chat. Sick of a lot of Acorn being willfully ignorant. You know, I keep having to remind myself 2/3 won't make it, 2/3 won't make it, 2/3 won't make it. But it annoys me too, so I get it. Trust me. But thank you for the super chat. Leah Swanson, thank you for the super chat. OMG, Boo, feel better, babe. Yes, I will. I've been laying down all day, child. I got up, aired out the house, washed all my sheets and all of that. Lysol, opened the windows, turned all the stuff on. My daughter running around here with a thing on her head, like I got Ebola or something, child. It was a lot. Yeah, I heard about Blueface. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Yeah, I went outside today earlier, Abundance. So what I did was when I got up this morning before I came on the live for y'all, I was like, I need to sit and get some fresh air. So I sat on my porch. And to be honest, that sun made me feel, it was like charging me. But I had to come back in and get back online. But once I get over here, I will be back outside. No worries. Yes, I will be taking my vitamin C and going outside. Yes. Thank you for the super chat, Cosmic Sun Soul. This is for some ginger tea. Thank you so much. All right, you guys, let's get into it. So why are we here? Well, it was a time called the Civil War. You guys are familiar with the Civil War, right? The Civil War is what happened after Abraham Lincoln and the North went against the South. Okay, they told us that they fought to free the slaves. Never happened. They fought for money. The people in the South was living high off the hog. They weren't paying taxes. Everybody was living good, eating good, doing good. And the people up north was like, I'm hating. We need to come in and get that. No, y'all need to come pay taxes. And the people in the South was like, nah, we not doing that. And then the people up north was like, well, we'll go to war about it. And then the people down south was like, well, let's do what we got to do. And then boom, that's how the war happened. People never discuss that black people fought on both sides of the war, right? You know, it wasn't to free the slaves, Aria. No, ma'am. That was just something that came along with it because they needed people to help fight. That's what that was. Thank you, Bug, for the super chat, for the super sticker. Thank you so much. Child, we thought Abe was our guy. Abe wasn't our guy, Zaria. I'm telling you, everybody they tell us to revere, we should actually do the opposite. So look, Civil War happens. Civil War happens behind the money. The North allegedly wins. Next thing you know, we go into what is called the Reconstruction era. We're going to get into that. Throughout the Reconstruction era, there comes the Freedmen's Bureau and the Freedmen's Bank. One of the last or later presidents or people in charge of the Freedmen's Bank was your boy Frederick Douglass. And then we're going to get into how that happened, what was promised to us, and how Kamala came in 2023 and snatched it right from us. But let's start with the Reconstruction era. Let's get into it. Let's get right into it because I got a couple of videos I want to show y'all as well. So let's get into the Reconstruction/Civil War era, right? Let me see. Can you guys see this? You should be able to see this. Let me sit up. I feel like I'm not sitting up. Yeah. All right. Reconstruction. After every war, there's a form of reconstruction. Because a lot of times the country is without money, okay? Now, here you go. Prominent black figures who were in charge, right? Remember, they told us that we were all slaves. Well, if we were all slaves, where all these prominent Negroes come from? Again, the only problem I have with the whole, well, one of the problems that I have with the whole what do they call it? Reparations movement is a lot of people gonna be disgusted when they realize your parents didn't come from slaves, or your ancestors didn't come from slaves. Every black person was not a slave. Actually, we had a prominent government in everything, but that's a story for a whole other day. So let's get into it. Reconstruction, 1865 to 1877. The turbulent era following the Civil War was the effort to reintegrate Southern states from the Confederacy and 4 million newly freed people into the United States. Under the administration of President Andrew Johnson in 1865, remember, he took over because they popped Abe Lincoln upside the head. In 1866, new Southern state legislators passed restrictive black codes to control the labor and behavior of former enslaved people and other African Americans. Outrage in the North over these codes eroded support for the approach known as presidential reconstruction and led to the triumph of the more radical wing of the Republican Party. During radical reconstruction, which began with the passage of the Reconstruction Act of 1867, newly enfranchised black people gained a voice in government for the first time in American history. But let's go on. Winning elections to Southern states and legislatures and even to U.S. Congress. So even according to this, we were in the Congress and had prominent figures in prominent places. In less than a decade, however, reactionary forces, including the Ku Klux Klan, remember I told y'all that was the first police. Remember, before there was a police department or a sheriff's office, it was the what? KKK. What reversed the changes wrought by radical reconstruction in a violent backlash that restored white supremacy in the South. Let me tell you something. This is all government funded. This is all government funded. Okay.
Whoa, it's the Capital One Bank guy. That's me. Could we get a selfie? Of course. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Girl, please. Emancipation and Reconstruction. At the outset of the Civil War, to the dismay of the dismay of the more radical abolitionists in the North, President Abraham Lincoln did not make abolition of slavery a goal of the Union war effort. So it's admitting that that was not his goal. To do so, he feared would drive the border slave states still loyal to the Union into the Confederacy and anger more conservative Northerners. By the summer of 1862, however, enslaved people themselves had pushed the issue, heading by the thousands to the Union lines as Lincoln's troops marched through the South. Their actions debunked one of the strongest myths underlying Southern devotion to the peculiar institution that many enslaved people were truly content in bondage. Oh, that's still today. Child. And convinced Lincoln that emancipation had become a political and military necessity. In response to Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, which freed more than 3 million enslaved people in the Confederate States by January 1st, 1863, Black people enlisted in the Union Army in large numbers, reaching some 180,000 by war's end. I hate these ads, bro. Did I just, oh Lord, go back. Wait, I didn't do nothing. No, let me make sure I didn't. These ads be blowing me. No, there you go. Emancipation changed the stakes of the Civil War, ensuring that a Union victory would mean large-scale social revolution in the South. It was still very unclear, however, what form this revolution would take. Over the next several years, Lincoln considered ideas about how to welcome the devastated South back into the Union. But as the war drew to a close in early 1865, he still had no clear plan. Okay? In a speech delivered on April 11th, while referring to plans for Reconstruction in Louisiana, Lincoln proposed that some Black people, including free Black people, telling you everybody wasn't no slave, but it says, proposed that some Black people, including free Black people and those who had enlisted in the military, deserves the right to vote. He was assassinated 3 days later, however, and it will fall to his successor to put plans for Reconstruction in place. Now, when Andrew Johnson pulled up, all that goes to the, this is where the KKK come in. Remember I told you the KKK come from the government. They were the first police officers. That's why Sonia Massey's can happen and Trayvon Martin, all them people, and them people don't care. Okay? They are employed by the people to do exactly what they're doing. Andrew Johnson and presidential reconstruction. At the end of May 1865, President Andrew Johnson announced his plans for reconstruction, which reflected both his staunch unionism and his firm belief in states' rights. In Johnson's view, the Southern states had never given up their right to govern themselves, and the federal government had no right to determine voting requirements or other questions at the state level. So what basically Johnson was doing was he wanted slavery to be re-enlisted back in. So instead of just saying that, he said, well, no, let the states handle themselves in the South. And you know what they wanted to do. You know what they wanted to do. Under Johnson's presidential reconstruction, all the land that had been confiscated by the Union Army and distributed to formerly enslaved people by the Army of the Freedmen's Bureau, which we'll get into, we already talked a bit about this, established by Congress in 1865, reverted to its pre-war owners. We did a live on that where we were talking about how these people in Savannah, the black people in Savannah had their land and it was prospering, and then them clear people came in and took the land back. That's why he wanted to put the rights back in the state's hand so that they can go back and get the stuff that was given to them through the Emancipation Proclamation. Apart from being required to uphold the abolition of slavery in compliance with the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, swear loyalty to the Union, and pay off war debts, Southern state governments were given free rein to rebuild themselves. As a result of Johnson's leniency, many Southern states in 1865 and 1866 successfully enacted a series of laws known as the Black Codes, which were designed to restrict freed Black people's activity and ensuring their availability as a labor force. These repressive codes enraged many in the North, including numerous members of Congress, which refused to see congressmen and senators elected from Southern states. So he put in the Black Codes that basically said, hey, put them niggas back in chains and take their land. Let me tell you something. That's what I keep telling y'all. Reparations is more than a check. A check, man, a check is like the least we need to be dealing with. I'm going to read just a little bit more and we're going to move to the next article. Hold on. In early 1866, Congress passed the Freedmen's Bureau and Civil Rights bills and sent them to Johnson for his signature. The first bill extended the life of the Bureau, originally established as a temporary organization charged with assisting refugees and formerly enslaved people, while the second defined all persons born in the United States as national citizens who were to enjoy equality before the law. After Johnson vetoed the bills, causing a permanent rupture in his relationship with Congress that would culminate in his impeachment in 1868, the Civil Rights Act became the first major bill to become law over presidential veto. Okay, so he burned his bridges with them people, but he didn't care. He didn't care. All right. And just a little bit on the Black Codes, how the Black Codes limited African American progress after Civil War. The Black Codes effectively continue enslavement for African Americans by restricting their rights and exploiting their labor. Let's go get it. Hold on.
Whoa, it's the Capital One Bank guy. That's me.
Girl.
Could we get a selfie?
All right. I just want to get into a little piece of this. This is where we need to be. Enslavement by debt. Okay. They may have lost the war, but they're not going to lose power civically and socially, says M. Keith Claybrook Jr., an assistant professor in the Department of African Studies. Remember, they didn't call it African Studies back then, but let's go with it. Department of Africana Studies in California State University, Long Beach. So the Black Codes were an attempt to restrict and limit freedom. Losing the Civil War meant the South had little choice but to recognize the Reconstruction era policies that abolished slavery by using the law to deny African Americans the opportunities and privilege that white people enjoyed. However, the one-time Confederacy could keep these newly liberated Americans in virtual bondage. Yes. Okay. So basically, let me see, is it going to go into here? Fees were the easiest way to reinstitute servitude, as African Americans earned so little that paying a steep fine was out of the question for most of them. Failure to pay fines allowed the state to order them to work off their balances, a system called debt peonage. Sounds like prison to me. Typically, this work was agricultural in nature, just as Black Americans had performed while enslaved. See, when we be saying we built up this country, a lot of it come through that. Black children were not spared from forced labor. If their parents were seen to be unfit or weren't around, the state received these children as orphans, and they would be put into the apprenticeship. Claybrook says, again, they are doing work without compensation. There you slavery go. The Black codes not only forced African Americans to work for free, but also essentially placed them under surveillance. Their comings and goings, meetings and church services were all monitored by the authorities of local officials, still today. Black people needed passes and white sponsors to move from place to place or to leave town. Collectively, these regulations codified a permanent underclass status for African Americans. So there you go. Here's one of the ways, or one of the few ways, that the Black codes really restricted so-called Black people, right? But the Freedmen's Bureau is supposed to come in and be the what do you call it? They're supposed to come in and be the savior of this all, right? So let's go over here. Senate.gov. The last one is from history.com. Let's go to Senate.gov and learn about the Freedmen's Bureau. It says Freedmen Bureaus Act of 1865 and 1866. On March 3rd, 1865, Congress passed an act to establish a bureau for the relief of freedmen and refugees. There go that inclusiveness, to provide food, shelter, clothing, medical services, and land to displaced Southerners, including newly freed African Americans. That's the same thing as people of color today. That whole refugees, even though they call anybody who moved from one place to another refugee, I'm just saying. The Freedmen's Bureau was to operate during the present war of rebellion and for 1 year thereafter, and also establish schools, supervised contract between freedmen and employers, manage confiscated and abandoned lands. The battle to establish the Freedmen's Bureau and to extend the legislation 1 year later was a major factor in the struggle between President Andrew Johnson and radical Republicans in Congress over Reconstruction and the role of the federal government in integrating 4 million newly emancipated Americans into political life of the nation. In 1863, Representative T.D. Eliot of Massachusetts proposed a bill establishing the Bureau of Emancipation with the Department of War to provide protection and support to newly freed African Americans. Freedmen's Aid Societies has been advocating for such agencies through memorials, petitions, and direct lobbying. The House spent 2 months debating the bill and finally passed it by a vote of 69 to 67 on March 1st, 1864. The bill was then referred to the Senate's Select Committee on Slavery and Freedom, chaired by Charles Sumner of Massachusetts. Senate debate on the bill focused on which executive department should run the Bureau. Some senators objected to the placing of Freedmen's Bureau in the Department of War, favoring the Department of Treasury instead, insisting that the well-being freedmen depended on their connection to the land. Let me say that again. Insisting that the well-being of freedmen dependent on the connection to the land. These senators noted that Congress had placed control of confiscated lands in the Treasury Department and argued that freedmen and lands should be handled by one authority. Senators who favored the War Department believed it had more experience than any other agency in addressing the needs of freedmen and thought military power was necessary to protect former slaves. Okay? Despite the fact that an amended bill would have to go back to the House, where it would narrowly pass before, the Senate placed the Bureau under the Treasury Department and passed its amended Freedmen's Bill on June 28, 1864 by a vote of 21-9. The House refused to agree to the Senate's changes, however, so the bill went to the conference. The conference committee reported a new bill on February 2nd, 1865, authorizing independent Department of Freedmen in abandoned lands not subject to either the War or Treasury Departments. The revised legislation stirred more debate. In addition to the issue of which department should control the Freedmen's Bureau, Senator disputed the role of the federal government in providing special treatment to a specific group of people at the exclusion of others. Some senators argued that the Freedmen's Bureau will make former slaves and Southern refugees, there you go, dependent on government bureaucrats, who might take advantage of them. It would, in effect, prolong their servitude, Iowa Senator James Grimes claimed. Are they freemen or are they not? If they are freemen, why not let them stand as free men, he asked. Senator Sumner countered the assistance was unnecessary during the transition from slavery to freedom. The curse of the slavery is still upon them, he insisted. Call it charity or duty, he said, regarding the creation of Freedmen's Bureau. It is sacred as humanity. Ultimately, the Senate would not concur with the conference reports and requested a second conference, which agreed to place control of the Bureau's refugees, freedmen, and abandoned lands in the War Department. Although several senators vociferously opposed the legislation, the Senate adopted the conference report on March 3rd, 1865 by a vote of 21-9, with 22 members abstaining. The House quickly followed suit, and President Abraham Lincoln signed that bill the same day. A little more than a month later, President Lincoln was assassinated, and Vice President Andrew Johnson, who repeatedly clashed with the radical Republicans in the House and Senate, assumed the presidency. Now, we all know what happened after that. You know what I mean? Johnson came in, like we just read from the other article, and basically vetoed all of that and put the rights back into the state's hand so that these people could go in and basically take everything back. That's all that was. Fish and Bread, thank you for the super chat, a super sticker. Thank you, Bug, for the super sticker. I appreciate you. KB, thank you for the super sticker. Thanks, Boo, for a deep dive into this. My grandmother and siblings were in Tulsa. They stole millions from banks during the attacks. You are a blessing. No one will dig deep into our stolen wealth. Oh, yeah, we about to get into that, too, and I'm so sorry to hear that. This is going to go into why black people for a long time didn't trust banks. Hell, I still don't. I tell y'all all the time, take some money out as you go. But thank you for the super chat, KB. We about to get into it. Alicia, this is a good thing. She said, damn, he probably popped Lincoln. Either he did or the government did. We all know once you start doing too much, they get you up out of here. You know what I mean? It's crazy. All right, so let's do this. Hold on. So we had a Freedmen's Bureau, which is going to birth the Freedmen's Bank, right? A part of that treaty, remember, they kept hollering about lands. Now, black people need somewhere to put their money on. Now people need somewhere to put their money. Because my question is, where they get the money from, bruh? I thought they was all slaves and they was broke. But they about to get all their money put in this bank and they about to take it. Thank you, Measurement, for the super chat. Thank you for covering. I've been begging people to cover. I had a mentee attend the convention and I broke it down to him and he was tickled. He was ticked. Oh, Man, the things we know, if we knew about a lot of the things that we thought was cool, bro, I swear we'll be messed up. Because I didn't know a lot of the things that I'm teaching y'all too until later on. So, and I'm a history buff. They don't teach it to us like that. But thank you for the super chat. Yes, 57.8 million in today's time. Yes. And we all know that was a lot of money back then, man. Especially with, you know, in the society that they had, and in, you know, it just was a lot. Listen, let's get into the bank. The Freedmen's Bank Savings, the Freedmen Savings Bank. Good intentions were not enough. A noble experiment goes awry. So now we got the Freedmen's Bank coming in for black people, right? Strictly for black Americans. Strictly for black Americans. Strictly for Acorn. Nobody else. This was only for Acorn. Keep that in mind as we read. It says, like much else that came out of the Civil War, the Freedmen Saving Banks, officially the Freedmen Saving and Trust Company, began with a sense of high moral purpose. Its founders understood that the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which abolished slavery, was only the start down the long road toward, y'all know how the light be getting me, toward full participation in American society for former slaves. Simply to survive the transition to a system based on free labor, they would need food, clothing, shelter, and medical care. But in the longer term, if they were to have a meaningful chance to succeed in American society, they would also need education, legal services, financial services, and capital. With these needs in mind, Congress on March 3rd, 1865, enacted legislation to establish the first of its kind social services agency that became known as the Freedmen's Bureau to administer a broad program of help and self-help. On the day, it chartered to the Freedmen's Savings Bank with the goal, as the African-American statesman Frederick Douglass put it, as the goal of African-American statesman Frederick Douglass put it, of instilling into the minds of former slaves lessons of sobriety, wisdom, and economy, and to show them how to rise in the world. Y'all know I don't trust Freddie. Ever since he embellished about his slave days, I don't trust the Negro. Listen, the need for the bank services was acute. Large numbers of slaves liberated by the Union Army had gone on its payroll. As this was the first bit of cash many of them had ever received. They needed a safe depository and bank financial education. Let me stop. This is off subject, but you know how they told us that Bonnie and Clyde was just running around robbing banks because they were just horrible people? Do you know that the real reason Bonnie and Clyde was robbing banks because they realized the banking institution was basically stealing the people money? Did y'all know that? I'm just trying to see, because it makes me think about this. The government sitting up there hollering, oh my God, they're going to need somewhere to hold their money. Y'all was going to take them people money off the cuff. Y'all was going to take them people money off the cuff. Yeah, Angela. The Bonnie and Clyde was robbing banks because they said that they were stealing money from the people. That's why they wasn't just bad people like, fuck it, we about to be bank robbers. No. They realized that the banking system was a scam, a sham. And they say, you know what? We just gonna rob them. And they did that. And they were very successful. But the way they give us the story, it was just like, oh my God, they were just horrible, clear people who was running around. And to be honest, I don't even know if they was clear. They could have been Negro for all we know. You know, they whitewash everything. But even if they were clear, these people were robbing these banks simply because they realized the banking system steals from the people, taking money from people. But I figured that's what it was on here. But look, as this was the first bit of cash many of them had ever received, they needed a safe depository and bank and basic financial education. The plan also called for the bank to employ numbers of freedmen, giving them hands-on training and experience in the banker skills. At first, all went well. With the Freedmen's Bureau helping to publicize it, the bank attracted millions of dollars from tens of thousands of depositories. Pause. Wait a minute. With the Freedmen's Bureau helping to publicize it, the bank attracted millions of dollars from tens of thousands depositories. So you telling me tens of thousands of black people came up with millions of dollars? How, Sway? How? Y'all said we was all slaves. I'm detecting a lie here. I don't know about y'all.
It was all a lie. Guys, it was all a lie. She lied.
Where they get the money from, bro? They say they was paying them little to nothing. Where they get the money from, bro? Yeah. Let's move on. The accounts they established were poignantly small. The vast majority of them ranged between $5 and $50, but these small deposits were emblematic of the historic rise of class of black property owners. More land. So we were owning property in 1866 too. Land. The bank was quick, perhaps too quick, to acquire the tangible symbols of success. It established dozens of branches throughout the country, which attracted new deposits, but also depleted its resources. It built a splendid headquarters in Washington, D.C. at the southeast corner of Lafayette Square, where the Treasury Annex now stands. It appeared filled with Douglas's heart with pride. With its magnificent brownstone front, its towering heights, its perfect appointments, and the fine display it made in the transaction of the business, he wrote, it was a sight I had never expected to see, but it had cost more than $200,000 to construct and furnish. A dubious expenditure for an institution that within a few years of its founding were already experiencing problems. Well, how, Sway? How? The people had the money. What was going on? Here's the bank. It's the Freedman Savings and Trust Company on Lafayette Square, where Treasury Annex stands today. Some of those problems stem from the volatile post-war economy, which saw decline, expansion, and the contradiction again culminated in the Panic of 1873. The contraction pushed down the yield on government securities, which formed a primary component of the bank's investment portfolio and which reduced the return to depositories. It was ostensibly for their benefit that a new management team at the bank urged Congress to liberalize the terms of its charter, permitting it to make loans backed by real estate. Congress went along. After all, access to finance for housing and related purposes, then as now, was a matter of compelling public policy. Unfortunately, history has repeatedly shown the era of expanding black powers without providing a commensurate increase in official oversight and risk management. Is it just me? Am I the only one noticing that every time we get a leg up, they push us down? Entered the office of the Comptroller of Currency, created in 1863, just 2 years before the Freedmen Savings Bank. The comptroller and his examiners were responsible for supervising the national banks it chartered, including several of the nation's capital. Under the national banking law carried out by the OCC, real estate lending was explicitly forbidden, a prohibition enforced by the office's professional bank examiners. The Freedmen Savings Bank depositors had no such safeguards. Indeed, the bank's charter explicitly subjected it not to the authority of the OCC, but to Congress itself. This oversight proved episodic and was there, and what there was of it often tainted by political considerations. That is why the Congress has seen fit to create the OCC as an independent agency funded not by appropriations, but by fees paid by banks it supervised. Girl. By 1873, the national economy spiraled down. The bank's condition turned critical. Too late, Congress asked OCC to assess its prospects, providing a special appropriation to conduct emergency examinations. In February 1873 and February 1874, OCC examiner Charles Meigs reported on the growling precariousness of Black position, in part because no one had been watching carefully over the bank's affairs. Its officers has fallen victim to their own inexperience and to the machinations of the likes of Henry Cook, who served as the bank's board, or served on the bank's board, while also serving his family banking business, using the assets of the former to benefit the latter. So he was taking the money from the bank, the Freedmen's bank, to benefit. You see what I'm saying? Oh no, from his people bank to benefit, according to this, the Freedmen's bank. In March 1874, Frederick Douglass was introduced to take the reins of the bank, a move that many hoped would steady the bank in the eyes of depositors, lest they withdraw their savings in a panic. But it was too late. On June 29th, the bank trustees voted to shut it down. What a coincidence, Freddie. The bank's closing did more than shatter the dreams of Douglass and others with high hopes in is failure. It left 61,144 depositors with losses of nearly $3 million. After years of waiting, depositors only recouped a share of what was owed to them. It was a bitter conclusion to a venture launched with great promise. This is what I'm trying to say, y'all. First of all, Frederick Douglass and his clear wife went on to be rich and happily ever after. Matter of fact, his clear wife was one of the people who started the feminist movement. Freddie ain't lose no money. Freddie ain't lose no money. Not only that, our ancestors, some of our ancestors, if they were investors, not investors, but if they were depositories in this bank, are owed money. But that's why I believe people like Tariq Nasheed and Umar are there to keep you focused on something that really a lot of us can't prove. Slavery. Them people owe us so much more. Them people owe us so much more land, cash, that you can literally go back, because you can trace your genealogy. You can trace your genealogy. You can go back and see who your people was in 1865 and 1867. And then you can see if they were depositors on the Freedmen's Bank. And if they are, or were, I'm sorry, you are owed compensation. But they keep your mind on slavery when they know most of us ain't gonna get it, because first of all, everybody wasn't no slave. And secondly, Black people were not the only slaves. This is what I keep talking about. And I find it very convenient that as soon as Freddie come on, everything, goes kaput. There's so much we're missing, bro. So much we're missing. I want to show you guys. Hold on. Oh, girl, I'm about to say what? Let me show y'all this documentary on the Freedmen's Bank. I want y'all to see this. Fair use, guys. Please like the video if you haven't already. Please like the video. Please like the video.
Welcome back to Black Discoveries. Today, we'll continue the story of Freedmen's Bank, a financial institution that played a pivotal role in the lives of Black folks during the Reconstruction era. Stick around for the rest of this video and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like this video as we explore the rise and fall of the Freedmen's Bank, examining its successes, its challenges, and its lasting impact on Black communities. Establishment. On March 3, 1865, the United States Congress chartered the Freedmen's Savings and Trust Company, also referred to as the Freedman Savings Bank, as a private savings bank to receive deposits from the recently emancipated populations. Within 7 years, the bank had opened 37 locations in 17 states, as well as Washington, D.C., and had taken in money from over 67,000 depositors. At its most prosperous, Freedman's Savings Bank had assets valued over $3.7 million in 1872 money, or about $83 million in 2023 currency. However, the bank's quick growth was mostly caused by exaggerated promises and was accompanied by fraud and poor management. Because of the speculative loans that the bank's white officials had made during its existence, the bank folded in 1874. Historians contend that the bank's collapse affected Black folks' faith in financial institutions as well as their money. The Treasury Annex later took over the location of the bank's former headquarters. In 2016, the Freedmen's Bank building replaced the name the Annex. Impact. To give former slaves a safe place to save their money, the U.S. Congress chartered Freedmen's Bank, or more officially, Freedmen's Savings and Trust Company, in March 1865. Freedmen deposited almost $57 million in the bank throughout several prosperous years before it failed in 1874 due to fraud and poor administration. Many Black folks lost their investments as a result of the bank's bankruptcy, but it also had a negative psychological effect on them, leading many of them to give up on goals and dreams that were associated with their savings and
$57 million. Where did all this money come from? And it had nothing to do with poor management. Them people made that bank on purpose so that they can get all these Black folk money and run away with it. That's what this was about. Oh, y'all free. Oh, y'all want to think y'all this, that, and the third. Clear people hated to see Black people that were successful, even to this day. That was a way to get all them Black folk money and put it all in one place so that they could just take it. That's all that was about.
Fostering a long-lasting mistrust of financial institutions. Safeguarding. During the American Civil War, it became clear that freed Black folks needed a bank. In addition to frequently being denied access to traditional banks, Black troops in the Union Army frequently fell victim to con artists or wasted their military salary. It became evident to civil rights activists and certain tolerant military personnel that Blacks required a bank to guarantee the safety of their funds. A board of trustees, Anson M. Sperry, a paymaster for the U.S. Army, and John W. Alvord, a congregational preacher, separately recognized this need and worked to encourage the establishment of such an organization in the early months of 1865. They formed a board of trustees. Congress approved legislation.
Real quickly, why these saltines give a damn about Black people and their success and their money? Why? What would they have? You know, I'm not saying that all clear people are bad. That's not what I'm saying. But what would their gain be? Yeah,
Establishment of such an organization in the early months of 1865. They formed a board of trustees. Congress approved legislation on March 3rd, incorporating the Freedmen's Savings and Trust Company as a non-profit financial institution as a result of Alvord's work. The bill was passed into law by President Abraham Lincoln right away. Sperry joined the bank's workforce soon after. The money placed had to be invested in stocks, bonds, treasury notes, or other securities of the United States under the Freedmen's Bank Charter. Freedmen's Bank was prohibited from making loans, in contrast to a traditional bank. Each depositor had a percentage of the bank's assets in proportion to their deposits, and it functioned somewhat like a cooperative. A group of 50 white trustees was chosen to oversee the bank's operations.
There you go.
The rise. Freedmen's Bank saw initial success. In several southern cities with sizable black populations, it established branches during the Reconstruction era. Richmond, Virginia, Charleston, South Carolina, Savannah, Georgia, New Orleans, Louisiana, Vicksburg, Mississippi, and Houston, Texas.
To get started in data analytics,
Hey,
you don't need
y'all want to know if it could have been any of your ancestors? They lay out the areas. Look, hold on, let me back them up. They lay out the land area. Richmond, Virginia, Charleston, South Carolina, Savannah, Georgia, New Orleans, Vicksburg, Mississippi, Houston, Texas. If you go your genealogy and you got family back there, they probably did put their little money down up in there, girl. And they got a group of 50 clear people running black niggas' money. Girl, you can't make this up. But that's another way you can figure out your genealogy, what's going on. If you can go back to 1865 and you got people in any of these areas, and especially if even just period, but even if they were freedmen, they probably did and put a couple of dollars in there. You never know.
Houston, Texas. In the end, the bank had over 72,000 depositors and more than 30 locations spread across more than a dozen states and the District of Columbia. While there were some individual accounts with mere pennies in them, the existence of the accounts showed that freed blacks were trying to get financial security and were planning for the future. The fall. Still, Freedman's Bank was soon in difficulty despite a bright beginning. The bank's loan and investment policies were altered by a charter modification in 1870 that permitted it to speculate on stocks, bonds, real estate, and unsecured loans. The bank was in danger of failing by the beginning of 1874 as a result of fraud, misuse, mismanagement, and overexpansion. That year, in March, the bank's white trustees resigned to restore public trust, and Frederick Douglass, a well-known and esteemed black leader, became the bank's president. Douglass put $10,000 of his funds into the bank to boost the organization's credibility, but in a matter of months, it was evident how seriously damaged the financial institution was. Douglass recommended that the bank remain closed by Congress in June 1874. On June 29, 1874, the bank failed and liquidated, causing many depositors to lose all of their life savings. Congress declined to compensate depositors, and the federal government did not safeguard the bank's assets. After persistently petitioning Congress for compensation, over half of the depositors eventually had more than half of their money returned. Others, however, got nothing. The Freedmen's Bank failure not only robbed many black people of their hard-earned savings, but also had a devastating psychological impact on them, causing many to abandon the hopes and dreams that were associated with their lost savings and fostering a deep-seated distrust of financial institutions for years to come. Thousands of blacks suffered greatly from the bank's collapse, but the records the bank left behind have proven to be a priceless resource for genealogists. These documents represent the greatest known collection of blacks' lineage-linked records. Conclusion: the history of Freedman's Bank serves as a reminder of the black community's tenacity as well as the significance of financial inclusion. Even though the bank eventually failed, it represented advancement and optimism for recently freed black folks, and its archives still include important data that is useful to genealogists today.
There you go.
Thank you for watching this Black Discoveries documentary.
Let me say this. It's big. He said it's useful for genealogy today, but let me also say this as well. This Freedmen's Bureau, Freedmen's Bureau, Freedmen's Bank was specifically for Black American people, nobody else. But you gotta watch it. When you look at the what we see online today, I haven't seen no official documentation, but when we see online today, I don't know if y'all caught it. It says freedmen and refugees. Let me see if I can go see it. That's the part. Now again, the way Google works, Google will update that thing right quick and you wouldn't even know. You'd have to go get an old book or something like that. because right on here on one of these sites, I'm trying to find it. It says Freedmen and refugees, but it only speaks about people who were slaves. But that's how they do, so that they can get your mind off the fact that, yeah, we took money from you, but they'll use that and put that in today to be like, no, it's always been for everybody. It's never only been for Black people. But these are the facts. It has always been strictly for Black people. Okay? I'm trying to see. Here you go. Look. Be careful. Listen, this is Google, though. They could have just updated this a year ago. Don't take this as law. This is internet. They update it all the time. It says, on March 3rd, 1865, Congress passed an act to establish a bureau for the relief of freedmen and refugees. Who the hell is refugees? The government will come back and say, oh, that means anybody. I'm telling you. You guys like the video if you haven't already. Yeah, Tutu. That's why old people ain't never trust no bank. That's why, that's why old black people ain't never trust no bank. That's why they always kept money under the mattress and bye. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, that's a good one, Ange. Migrants, refugees could be migrants. You're right. I ain't think about that. So now let's fast forward. We had banks. We had a bureau. The bank took all our people money. Really, people just stopped. Black people in general stopped dealing with banks for real. They was like, yeah, we done with this. We not doing that. In 2016, they revamped it and named it something else. I just saw it. I couldn't remember. But they revamped it and renamed it. This is where Kamala Harris comes in. Now, Kamala, like Obama, came in and literally destroyed things that were specifically for Black Americans. Most people don't want to hear that because they love they Obamas and they love these people. But at the end of the day, these people were to your detriment. Just like Obama got rid of the status Negro. Kamala comes in and updates the terms and conditions for this Freedmen's Bank to literally include everybody. Everybody. Now you got to pay attention. She's going to admit that, I ain't gonna lie, this was for Black people, Black slaves, but then she's going to go in to talk about how the Asian people need it, how the Hispanic people need it. You get it? And not only that, they're putting money in it. It's the same thing they're doing to these scholarships, same thing they're doing to all of these things that they say for people of color. Black people, we have to separate from those terms. People of color, we got to separate from that. Minorities, we have to separate from that. We cannot, because they're using those terms to umbrella and push us out and uplift them other people. Okay? Now look, here comes Kamala. Hold on. Shut up, lady. I want y'all to hear Kamala's thing on here, what she has to say. Hold on. I want you guys to hear this. Peep Kamala as she talks about the Freedmen's Bank and how now it's for everybody. This is in 2023. This is in 2023. Literally stealing from under your nose. Literally taking things that were set aside specifically for you and giving it to everybody. So when she said, I'm not going to do anything specifically for Black people, she didn't lie. I keep telling y'all, it's not about what she said. It's about what she does that basically corroborates what she said. Okay? Watch Kamala. And also remember this. The reason why it's important that you know that she's not a Black American woman, because them people sleep good at night, because she knows that doesn't affect nobody in her lineage, her ancestry, her family, her people. That's on y'all. That lady don't lose no sleep. Obama ain't lose no sleep for what he did to niggas. Clear people don't lose no sleep because they are not us. So since we want to go with identity politics, we go with the wrong identities because Obama nor Kamala is us. Okay?
Good afternoon. And to our incredible Secretary, Janet Yellen, thank you for welcoming us. Thank you for hosting us.
And thank you for your partnership. I think you all, many of you here have worked with our secretary, with Janet Yellen, over the years, and you know that she's an extraordinary fighter. Who are not familiar with the history of Freedman's Bank. So Freedman's Savings Bank was founded by the United States Congress in 1865. It was a bank unlike any other our nation had known. Freedman's Bank was established to serve Black Americans.
You heard that? Freedman's Bank was established to serve Black Americans. She said it out her own mouth. Freedman's Bank was established to serve who? Black Americans. Look.
It was a bank unlike any other our nation had known. Freedman's Bank was established to serve Black Americans newly freed from slavery.
There you go.
To help them build wealth and to build a better future.
Cool.
At Freedman's, to open a savings account, you just needed 5 cents, which, as I've calculated, is about $1 today. In the years after its founding, tens of thousands of Black families opened an account at Freedman's. They saved up to buy a farm, to build a home, to open a business. Even school children saved their pocket money to deposit it in this institution.
Pause. So she knows the significance of the Freedman's Bank. She knows it very well. She's literally telling you, Black Americans saved up their money to buy homes, farms, children. She knows. She knows. She knows. She not slow. She knows exactly what this is for. Basima Brown, I don't know what you're talking about, y'all spreading lies, but you'll go lay down, fat. You can go suck out her pussy some other time, girl. We don't have time, Basima. And your name is Basima. Girl, please. Not today, Satan. She knows why and what this bank was for, okay? She knows. She just laid it out perfectly. She knows. Look.
And then 9 years later, after the bank first opened its doors, because of an economic downturn and because of the organized assault on the project of Reconstruction, Freedman's Bank was forced to close. Over 60,000 people lost their savings. Now, Freedman's Bank
Wait, before you go on, bitch. She said over 60,000 people lost their savings. So she knows exactly what's going on.
It's guided by a vision. The vision of an economy that works for all Americans and includes all Americans.
No, it don't. No. It was never for all Americans and include all Americans. It was for the freedmen. That's why they called it the Freedmen's Bank. She's starting her bullshit. Look.
The vision of a nation in which all people have access to the financial resources they need to succeed, to thrive, and to determine their own future. Truly at the heart of that bank was the concept of self-determination. Over a century and a half later, in communities across our nation, that vision remains unrealized.
Girl.
Consider, today, Black entrepreneurs are 3 times more likely to report that they did not apply for a loan for fear of being turned away by a bank, often anecdotally because they heard about that experience from friends and relatives.
Pause. There again, she knows Black Americans are struggling with loans and things of this nature still as they did then. She's literally telling you, but watch the double talk.
Today, Black and Latino homeowners are rejected.
What you mean, pause? Black and Latino? They wasn't even here like that when we were talking about the Freedmen's Bank, when we had that. No, wait a minute, hold on. They weren't even here like that. Ain't no Black and Latino homeowners. Why? She's easing in to everybody else. We got to get away from minority And we got to get away from people of color. I keep telling y'all. Now look, she's squeezing the Latinos in there. We don't give a damn about the Latinos. We don't. I know I don't.
By traditional financial institutions at a higher rate when applying for home loans. And this is the case even when they have credit profiles similar to other applicants. Today, many immigrant business owners, including some Asian American business owners,
there you go. She went from Latinos, now she going to Asians. Today, many Asian immigrant owners, girl, what? Asians? Hold on. This is the Freedmen's Bank. This is the Freedmen's Bank, specifically for Black Americans. You started this whole thing off talking about the disparities between Black Americans and other people and how we lost millions of dollars and all of that. You snuck in the Latinos. Now you gonna talk about the Asians? Girl, we don't give a damn about them Asian people, girl.
Language barriers that limit their ability to access capital and banking services.
That don't got nothing to do with us.
And people who live in rural areas, including many Native Americans.
Now she's gonna put the Native Americans in. Y'all gotta clock it. Y'all gotta clock it.
Often lack access to traditional financial services of any kind. So President Biden and I know that for our nation to succeed, these disparities must be spoken of, acknowledged, and addressed. One of the last actions, as you heard Secretary Yellen mentioned, I took as a United States Senator was to team up with Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Mark Warner and Senator Cory Booker and Chairwoman, Maxine Waters, to invest $12 billion.
That old ass bitch, decrepit hoe. Black people love Maxine Waters, and y'all don't even know why. That lady been one of the reasons why y'all been messed up for a long time. But
$1 billion in community lenders, which of course are financial institutions that predominantly do business in overlooked and underserved communities.
What communities?
Last month, I was proud to announce that because of that hard work and the work of many of the leaders in this room, our administration has distributed more than $8 billion of that investment to 162 community lenders across our nation. That is $8 billion on the ground in communities across our nation right now.
Pause. I'm Black. Y'all Black. They say they done put $8 billion across the communities. Has anybody been seeing any better outcomes getting loans and stuff? Because see, that's why it's very imperative. Because listen, they say people of color, minorities, and you be sitting over there saying, yeah, woo, 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 woo. They giving them this money, not us, not me and you. They giving it to them, not us. Because they put them under the minority umbrella or under the people of color umbrella, and then they don't tell you nothing about it. In secret, they tell all them other people about it, and then they go get it. And then when we try to apply for a loan, they look at us straight in the face and say no. Let everybody in.
And I'll share with you some of the examples. In North Dakota, Native American Bank lent $10 million to help fund an opioid addiction treatment facility.
There you go. She's naming them Native American. You know the Mongolians, the $5 foot loans. They got $10 million for opioid addiction treatment. You know how many people, how many treatment centers we need? Look, she's telling you where the money going. She's telling you where the money going. Let her finish talking.
Facility on tribal lands. In Georgia, Carver Bank lent over $500,000 to help Black-owned companies build affordable housing.
Nah, she said in Georgia, $500,000 went to Black owners to build, what she said, affordable housing. Girl, $500,000, and you gave $10 million to the Native Americans. Wait, pause. Skirt. You gave the Native Americans for opioid addiction $10 million, and y'all gave $500,000 to so-called Black-owned companies to do affordable housing. Y'all pay attention. I need y'all to wake up.
And in Mississippi, Hope Credit Union, led of course by the great Bill Bynum, lent $10,000 to a Black-owned and woman-owned coffee company to help them expand.
Ooh, some lady in wherever. Shout out to you, ma'am. She got $10,000. Woo! She done shook the table. Woo! So we got $500K in Georgia. Remember, she said they put in $8 billion, not million, billion. She said they put in $8 billion. $10 million went to the Native Americans up in North Dakota so they can fight the opioid crisis. 500,000 went to Georgia for people to build Section 8 housing. And 10,000 to some random woman to expand her coffee shop. We winning, eh?
That's just one example of the incredible work that they do there. Since taking office, then I will tell you, I have traveled our nation and spoken with small business owners who have received funds from community lenders. And I have seen what it means in terms of acknowledging, recognizing, and then feeding their ambition and aspiration and creativity, both in terms of their own aptitude and capacity, but also because they are in the best position to understand the needs and the capacity of their communities. And I've seen how they use that capital to hire people from the community, to open a new storefront on the main street, how they buy inventory from local businesses. The whole community benefits in one way or another, economically, not to mention psychically, from their presence. And at the same time, I have also seen how the great need for capital still remains in our country, meaning how much more work we still have yet to do. You know, I hope and know that everyone here does get the opportunity to travel our country. And from my travels, I will share with you, there are so many people in our country that have incredible dreams, fueled by their ambition, fueled by their aspiration, fueled by seeing what is possible and then going for it. But far too many still lack the resources and the support to make those dreams a reality.
You think?
And what ends up happening then is these entrepreneurs cannot access capital to start a business. We're talking about families who then cannot access the capital they need to buy a home, students who cannot access capital to get an education because they live in an underserved community, and because often they also do not have the benefit of intergenerational wealth. We need to address this because, again, there is a complete disconnect between their inability to grow and the fact that they are so talented and desirous of doing just that. So let's deal with that disconnect, which we also refer to as disparities, because we see that people in our country are having an experience that is not equal. And that's why we talk about equity, because we recognize not everybody starts out on the same base. They don't start out in the same place, even though they have the same God-given capacity.
Girl.
So when we talk about the work we are doing here together, it is recognizing that and being guided by this principle of what we must do in the spirit and in the interest of equity. And to do this, one of the aspects of the success we have seen so far is the benefit and the incredible power of public-private partnership. The public and the private sector joining together. And what we have been doing and must do more is to combine the expertise and the experience of the private sector with the reach and the scale that only the government can provide.
Come on, ma'am.
And together, that is what we have done so far, which has resulted in the success we have seen.
I ain't seen no success.
As Secretary Yellen mentioned, earlier this year, we launched the Economic Opportunity Coalition. This coalition consists of over 20 private sector organizations. It includes technology companies, philanthropies, and some of the largest consumer banks and investment firms. And together, these private sector leaders have committed tens of billions of dollars to promote and then provide capital to community lenders, to support entrepreneurship and minority-owned businesses.
There you go, minority
and
owned.
to expand access to financial services, and to create and protect affordable housing. And today, this coalition has committed more than $1 billion to community banks serving minority and rural communities. So all of our work thus far, we still have more to do, all of our work thus far, I believe, comes down to this. America is a nation driven by the ambition and aspiration of her people. And so let us continue to fight to make sure all people have a chance to realize their dreams and to determine their own future. Because when we do, we not only advance economic justice, we strengthen our economy as a whole, creating prosperity and opportunity for all. Together, we hear no.
All right, that's enough. Listen, this lady is associated with communists. Communists don't believe that people should own anything. Let me say that again. She is associated with the Chinese and the communists. Kind of like China, just like China today, they don't know, nobody own nothing. Everybody's just in this one commonwealth. That's the type of person that she is. So her pushing this ownership of minorities and bullshit, okay? But this who y'all voting for. She literally took something that was specifically for us and gave it to everybody else. You cannot make this up. You literally cannot. She took something that belonged to only us and gave it to everybody else. But all we got to know is she black. It don't matter though, because we scared of Project 2025. And this is just only a few. Abundance. Oh, how you get black abundance? I unblocked you. Who blocked abundance? I unblocked you, abundance. But this is what I'm saying, you guys. This is what I'm saying. Who blocked abundance? I just unblocked you, baby. Don't worry about it. I just got you. I took care of you. Listen. Girl, I already seen that. Girl, when I seen them Chinese and them Japanese doing breakdancing, girl, then I saw a girl from Italy and they were all cosplaying as Negroes. Girl, I said, what? Nevertheless, this is your Madam Vice President. And you got people telling us about feel-good politics. And you got people like Steve Harvey and all these people telling us, don't ask her to do nothing. She can't just do nothing for you. Like I said, when I said this morning that a lot of our people going to be upset with us 3-4 generations down the line, because we are, a lot of us, not us, but a lot of us as a collective are instituting a lot of damage because of how we feel. Simply because of how we feel. That's it. Even though we know in whole what's to come, we don't care. It's about how we feel. When that lady said, I'm not just going to do nothing for only Black Americans. No, she didn't lie. So when somebody tell me, oh, how is she anti-Black? The Freedmen's Bank. She's literally taking, like, if she really cared about Black people, she'll be saying, hey, Black people, come get y'all reparations through the Freedmen's Bank. It was only 100 and something thousand people who put it in. So it ain't like they're going to break the bank. That's a form of reparations, but that comes with land too. You get it? She don't give a damn about Black American people. She just over here ski-weeing and cosplaying, and niggas is so slow and stupid. We just over there. And that's just that on that. That's what we doing. Ariana Zane says, so what we doing all this talk? You tell me, Ariana, have you done your genealogy? I'll tell you since you're looking for me to tell you. Have you done your genealogy, Ariana? And if you have, do you have members, family members that are in the areas that were mentioned? New Orleans, Savannah, a couple of those other places. Have you done your genealogy? Because if so, then one thing you can do is go get your reparations for them people that's owed money, maybe possibly land as well. That's one thing you can do. That's one thing we could do. Y'all have to stop looking for people to tell you what to do. I'm giving you the information. And I don't mean to say it to you like that, but it annoys me because it's not just you. Multiple people coming after I give you what the hell been going on. People will turn around and be like, oh, so what are we going to do? Damn, you want me to take you to the toilet and wipe your ass? I gave you the information. Do with it as you please. Do your genealogy. That's a form of reparations. Do your genealogy. If you have family that was in any of those areas during those times, there's a whole Freedmen's Bank genealogy program where you can find your people. You can get reparated just from that. You get it? See, reparations ain't one umbrella like we've been taught. There are many forms of reparations. Many. Land, money, many forms. Here's one right here. I don't want to have to tell you step by step what to do. You are a leader within yourself. You have everything you need, all the tools and all the knowledge to be successful and to make sound reason on your own. You don't need voodoo to tell you step by step what to do. What the old saying is, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. The water is literally right here. Like you can literally put your foot in it. Go swimming or stay dry. I don't know what else to tell you. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be mean, but I got the question yesterday, today, every day. So what are we going to do? What do you want me to do? Everybody's history is different. Everybody's genealogy is different. I may not have no people that put money in the Freedmen's Bank. So that don't apply to me. You know what I'm saying? But you might do. I just want us to look inside of ourselves. That's what the church did us. The church got us looking elsewhere for help. When we have everything we need necessary. How the book say, ye are gods. You have everything you need right here and right here. Here you go. You know what I'm saying? Well, if you want to overthrow the system, that's a whole nother story. See, you didn't say you wanted to overthrow the system. If you want to go Black Panther and go militant, oh, that's a whole nother story. I ain't trying to do that. So I couldn't tell you the ways to do that. I ain't trying to go Black Panther and get a bunch of blickies and a bunch of Negroes and go storm the Capitol. That ain't my cup of tea. Because most of these Negroes ain't even were unalive before, to be honest. So yeah, I ain't trying to do that. I couldn't tell you nothing about overthrowing the system. That ain't in my list of things to do. So, but if you want to go overthrow the system, I'm pretty sure there's a group of people that are like-minded that can then give you guidance on how to overthrow the system. I'm trying to show you how to get things back that was taken from you. That's all I got for you. I ain't got nothing more than that. I only have enough to tell you what to do to get what's owed to you. People want reparations? Y'all going through slavery? Okay. I showed you through the Freedmen's Bank. I showed you through land. I showed you through the Great Migration. I showed y'all so many ways how to go get your shit back. After that, my hands is off it. But I ain't trying to overthrow the government. I ain't trying to go militant, form a militia, and go run up there and pop them people upside the head. That ain't what I was put here to do. You know what I'm saying? Some people were, but just not me. Maybe you, Ariana, just go live when you do it. I'd love to see it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that too, Roy. You tried to set me up, girl, by way smarter than that. You got to be quicker than that. What you thought I was going to get on here and say, oh, this is what we going to do. Boom. So we going to meet at dawn. Everybody wear all black. I got ski masks for everybody. I got blickies for everybody. When we meet at dawn, we gonna discuss. Girl, bye. No, I don't have no issues, no interest in none of that. I could just give you the information and you do it with it as you please. But I do feel like I was trying to get set up. Well, how we gonna overthrow the government, girl? Trying to go be with them clear people was trying to overthrow the government. And y'all got mad. I didn't think they did nothing wrong. I didn't think they did nothing wrong. Black people was mad. And I'm over here saying, why y'all mad? They ain't messing with black people. That's clear on clear crime. Enjoy. Get your popcorn and watch. That's what I was saying. But y'all was mad that the clear people went and was trying to unalive the clear people. I never understood it. I was slapping these girls going, what? That's what I was doing. Y'all got to be strong, girl. But I'm pretty sure them people still around. The Proud Boys, go holler at them. With that being said, y'all, I appreciate y'all for being here. I love y'all so much. Thank y'all so much for being here. Like the video if you haven't already. Like I say, there are so many ways things were taken from us. So many ways. And we don't even realize it because we so focused and our minds and attention is diverted on reparations for slavery. I hate to be the one to break it to you. Please look me in the eyes and turn the volume up. I hate to be the one to break it to you, but please look me in the eye and turn the volume up. Most of y'all ain't gonna be able to get no reparations through slavery. Even if they start cutting the checks, most of y'all ain't gonna get no reparations through slavery. You know why? Because a lot of y'all ancestors wasn't slaves. Ooh, but you know that if you did your genealogy. Instead of just riding behind people like Tariq running around here saying reparations for Black Americans, reparations for Black Americans, bye, 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 bye. No, fat, do your genealogy and you'll see a lot of y'all people wasn't slaves. That's why they was able to put millions of dollars into a bank 2 years, 1 year after doggone emancipation. You get it? Why they own land. You get it? Why Tulsa existed, Rosewood existed, why all those prominent Black areas existed. Because a lot of y'all ancestors wasn't slaves. Now I know they tell y'all, yes, they was. They were slaves and they was mason workers. And I remember my great-great-granddaddy got paid 2 cents an hour. And he would work 12-hour days. Lord, yes, he would. 2 cents an hour. And he worked 12-hour days, but he worked every day for 3 years straight, his fingers to the bone. And he was able to save up $300 to buy 1,000 acres of land. Oh, really? Well, how much was the land going at the time? $3 an acre. What? Critical thinking. Critical thinking. Critical thinking. Hold up. So my great-great-great-granddaddy jumped off the plantation, making 2 cents an hour, working 12-hour days for 365 days, and he had 3 racks to buy 1,000 acres of land just off the cuff here. He ain't spend no money on food, housing, none of that. He was able to save every single penny he had for them 3 years to buy 1,000 acre girl by. But that's because I had my people tell me that. Oh, well, yeah, your great granddaddy, he did. He got his land. It was $2 an acre back then, and he bought all this land. I said, well, how he get the money? Well, he saved up his money because you know they wasn't paying slaves that good. Well, how the hell he saved up all this money? Where did he get all this money from? You get it? But if I tell y'all that we so used to being victims, a lot of people gonna feel some type of way like, oh my God, voodoo, you're just anti-Black. You know, anytime you disagree with a nigga, you're anti-Black. You're just anti-Black, voodoo. Voodoo, we were slaves, we're still in chains. I saw the Black History Museum in DC. I saw the chains. I saw my people. They had a movie playing. There was a movie, and it was my great-grandmother. Chains wrapped in her arms. And I could feel the presence of the ancestors when I walked in. And I just knew that was my people back that chains. They showed us the victims. They showed us the video. Yes, they did. They got all of the chains and all of the shackles in the museum, voodoo. You can't tell me I'm lying because I seen it down at the museum, girl. It's over there, girl. And it had a video playing next to the pictures. It was true. When I walked in, something came over me and I knew it was the ancestors. So, Voodoo, don't tell me we wasn't no slaves. Don't tell me we wasn't all slaves. Because when I went into the African American Museum, I felt my great-great-grandmother. And I'm just looking like, girl, bye.
It's survival. Survival. I guess somebody lied. Smells like somebody lied.
I'm telling you. And I be insisting. And y'all be saying, that's not right, Voodoo. Voodoo. That's not true. And then when I show you the proof and say, hey, boo, have you done your genealogy? Because if you did your genealogy, just maybe your ancestors wasn't a slave. They would rebel and act crazy. And I said, but I'm just saying, maybe this will help you out. You can get reparations another way. No, because we were slaves. I'm just trying to say, they get mad and they get to yelling and acting crazy like this.
Fuck you and your family, bitch.
Girl, y'all got to be strong. Y'all got to be strong. Okay? And to y'all who do y'all genealogy after running behind that slave money, talking about voodoo, my people did come from slaves, and you found out your great-great-great-grandmother was a sharecropper and your great-great-great-granddaddy owned 1,000 acres of land. I'm going to be right here. You know I'm a told you so type bitch.
I told y'all niggas. Y'all thought I was slave, but I told y'all niggas.
And again, some of us were slaves. I'm being funny, but a lot of us weren't. With that being said, you guys, love y'all down to the ground. Did I miss a super chat? Hold on. Thank you for the super chat, Pure Joy. Vu, why did the Mormon church have the records of all accounts at Freedman's Bank? I'll give you a better answer, Pure Joy. The Mormons got the records of everything. Archaeology, everything. That's something we could cover over here another time. The Mormon church has all the records of America. America. We'll talk about it another time, child. They got all the everything. All of everything. Why is that? That's a good question. We'll exit out on that one and we'll come back and talk about it later. Anyway, I love y'all down to the ground. I'm about to joke y'all out so I can drink some lemon tea and go lay my crazy looking ass down. I ain't even got no lemon, but I'll get some. Love y'all down to the ground and I'll see y'all later. I'm about to joke y'all up out of here. Peace.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. We live, baby. Come on. That's right. Okay. Can you hear me now? Oh, let's go. It's your boy Big Chew, the voice of the beat. You know what I won't blaze up. Come on, blaze up.
It's the beat for me.
Wah 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 for your guy, for your B-O-Y. Drop it for your guy, for your B-O-Y. Do it for your guy, for your B-O-Y. Come on, baby, we live. For your boy. For your boy. Also for your boy. Fix it for your boy. Drop it for your lift it up. Penny bust it open, lift it up. Yeah, come on, lift it up. Penny bust it open for your B-O-Y. Penny, for your rockin' for your lift it up, baby. Mix it with your bossa now. Come on, Blaze, so you know. Drop me a nasty beat.
Mr. Carroll, how you give the voodoo doll time to talk? I don't get no fucking time to talk.
Who the voodoo doll is?
The nigga you just had.